uh, afternoon to everyone. So I'm Associate Professor Dr. Asmadi Idris from University Malaysia Sabah. I would like to present my paper. The title of my paper is Islamic Development in Sabah Beyond the United Sabah Islamic Associations, or shortly called as USIA, Spectrum Reanalysis. That's my topic. My problem statement is Islamic development in Sabah has been politicized since mass conversions by United Sabah Islamic Associations or USIA during 1970s. Thus, this study endeavors to challenge this premise. Did USIA only play the role in spreading Islam in Sabah? Was there any other actors that contribute to Islamic development in Sabah? So this is the two main questions that I would like to further discuss in this paper. My methodology for this study is based on my personal observations during doing fieldwork, interviews, and also documentary analysis. Scope of discussions of this paper is divided into 4 major issues. The first is on the early background of Islamic development in Sabah. Second, literature reviews on Islamic development. Third, methods of Islamic dakwah in Sabah, how Islam teachings, Islamic dakwah conveyed in Sabah. And the last part is the conclusions of this paper. So we go to the first issue on the background of Islamic development in Sabah. As we already know, Islam has been in Sabah for centuries, as early as during the 10th century, where an Arab commercial ship from Mai or Mindoro, Philippines, arrived in Canton, China in 982 after decade. So there's some Muslims history on the arrival of Islam in Holo, for instance, and then the visit of Sharif Aulia Karim Al-Maktoum, who visit Sulu in 103 AD after decade. So most of the Saban community in East Coast became Muslim via these Sulu connections. The second theory of how Islam came to Sabah was during the Song Dynasty, where they mentions about Puni, linked to Brunei and West Coast. And this happened during the year of 977 after decade. This is how Islam came to Sabah. This is the map where the Mindoro, Manila located, and this is Sabah. So after that, Islam expanded until the establishments of 2 Muslim sultanates, the Brunei Sultanate on the 15th century and the Sulu Sultanate on the 16th century. And on its peak, Brunei Empire stretched until Manila, and the earliest individual embraced Islam in Sabah, named Abdullah from Idahan ethnic in Lahadatu in 1400 or 8th century. Then after that, Islam developed and penetrated other area, especially Sabah interior area like Keningau, Ranau, Tambunan in 1940s. And then during the British era, Muslim traders, preachers in Islamic Injils had spread Islamic teachings. And on the part of the literature reviews, not so many writings on Islam development in the early Sabah during the early independence era. But since the United Sabah Islamic Association, or USIA, set up writings on Islam development in Sabah largely centered upon the role of USIA, and OSNO is a political ruling, is a ruling party involved in mass conversions of Sabahan, especially in the interior and west coast areas in Sabah. This has happened during the 1917 and 1976. This is the area of the interior, the red one, and this is the west coast. This is how USIA made the mass conversion of Islam among the local community in Sabah. So the issue of mass conversion has been politicized, and the blame on the close collaboration between OSNO and USIA. But 1985, after the change of government from OSNO to Berjaya, and then PBS, the role of USIA limited. And now from 1990s and onwards, government, the ex-government USIA, re-emerged with other Muslim NGOs to continue to spread Islamic messages among local people in Sabah. In other words, government and Muslim NGOs go hand in hand in spreading Islam in Sabah. So what are the methods of Islamic da'wah in Sabah? In fact, there are various actors involved in spreading Islamic da'wah in Sabah. So against the most common thesis, Islamic development in Sabah not only spearheaded by USIA, but by many actors actually involved. And it could be geographically divided into three major actors in different phases. The first one is during the Brunei Sultanate and the Arab traders or Arab preachers during the 15th century in the West Coast area. Second is Sulu Sultanate and Arab descendants from the 16th until today in the East Coast of Sabah. And the third actors is the Indonesian preachers. They focus on the Sabah interior area. This began in 1940s and 50s. And after that, USIA and other government policies and non-government NGOs involved in spreading dakwah in Islam, Islamic dakwah among Sabahan. So this is the three different actors in the three different areas. This is the West Coast area where the Sultanate the map. This is during the 19th century, and this is the East Coast and the Sultan Sulu, and also there's some Arab descendants here, and this is the interior part of Sabah, and this is where the Indonesians and the USIA introduced Islam among the communities. So the main focus of this study is I like to share, based on my experience, on two other important actors that are responsible for conveying Islamic da'wah to Sabahan communities. The first one is Arab descendants, Habib family in East Coast part of Sabah during the 19th century until today, and the second actors, Indonesian preachers, focus on the interior area of Sabah, 1940s and 1950s. So Arab descendants East Coast involved in Tawau in Semporna with the Arab traders. There's some Arab traders or preachers arrived to convey Islam among population in Sabah, like Pu Ali or Abu Ali, Sharif Aulia Karim Al-Mahdum, Sheikh Shamsuddin, Sheikh Sharif Abdurrahman Al-Qadi Pudai, and others. And for the Arab descendants who came as early as 18th century in Tawau and Sempur, they are the leading actors that continue the work of da'wah to convey the message of Islam. And then they call as the Habib descendants, or Ahlul Bait from Yemen. And then they are their descendants from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through Sayyidina Hussain radhiyallahu anhu. And the location is Batu dua Obatu tu Jalan Apas Tawau, and then Habib Sagaf descendants, Habib Abdurrahman Mosque in Semporna. So this is of the how the Arab descendants played a pivotal role in spreading dakwah in east coast of Sabah. Okay, this is one of the examples how the Habib descendants, they became imams in mosque in Tawau in Semporna, but this shows in Masjid Rahman in Semporna. And then, of course, the Arab descendants give a very positive impact on Islamic development in Tawau and Semporna. For instance, in Tawau, they have 127 mosques, religious secondary school, very famous SME Islamia Tawau. And then Semporna, 128 mosques. And then Masjid Rahman in Semporna, appreciated by our Prime Minister, Malaysian first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Alas. So this is part of their contribution. We cannot, in other words, the Arab descendants, we cannot deny the role in spreading Islam, especially in the east coast of Sabah, Tawau and Semporna especially. So this is some of the pictures. This Masjid Kayu, one of the oldest, in Semporna. And then the Museum of Tun Sengkaran is one of the respondents. Okay, we come to the second important actors. This is Indonesian preachers, focus on the interior area of Sabah, 1940s and 50s. So in Sabah, interior areas refer to Keningauran and Kundasang. The story is quite different based on researchers' fieldwork. So in other words, when I and my colleagues visit this area, the story is very different, very raw. Because when we ask who introduced Islam in this area, so most of the respondents that they answered that they only refer to an individual name, Mando Sharif Adiwi Winata, or famously known as Mando Sharif, Bapak Tua Sharif Ambik. So Mando Sharif, hailed from Central Java, Indonesia, migrated to Sabah for economic reasons under the invitations of North Borneo Chartered Company. He worked as mandor in Lobo Estate, Manggatal in 1929. So how Mando Sharif approached the local community in conveying the message of Islam? So he was using Islamic healing medicine. He was good in healing sick people using Islamic method, reciting Quranic verses. So the local pagan people, they are easily attracted to this method, for they consider it as a miracle, keajaiban. For they also practice traditional beliefs, they just believe in spirit, mysticism, and ism. So they don't find it difficult to accept the teachings of the Mando Sharif, because the pagan people, they are accustomed to their traditional beliefs. So many people came to see Mando Sharif to seek, to heal from their sickness, and then simultaneously Mando Sharif invited them to Islam. So this is one of the pictures of Mando Sharif, his friends and colleagues, taken in Ranau. And then Mando Sharif, of course, has developed, one of his legacy, Islam has developed well in Sabah, especially in interior areas. And Islam is now widely embraced by local people in Keningau, Ranau, and Kundasang, either through da'wah or intermarriages. Now, Muslims also gradually understand the nature of Islam when one of their relatives embrace Islam. They know that their biological relationship will be preserved, as Islam stresses on strengthening the relationship between family members. In other words, Mando Sharif had laid early basic Islamic foundation, and this paved the way for USIA and others to accelerate the spread of Islam among community. So in conclusion, USIA had taken huge leap in converting local people to Islam in interior of Sabah. This indirectly, however, overwhelmed other important actors that also were responsible for the introduction of Islam. Without their early efforts, it would be a long journey for any Muslim organization to speed up the development of Islam in Sabah. Thus, credits and acknowledgement must go to Arab descendants in Mando Sharif, also to other Indonesian preachers who came after him, for their priceless contribution to ensure that Sharia of Islam will always be upheld. The fact remained that the spread of Islam was not based on force, but on individuals' choices. So I think that's all for me. Thank you very much for your focus in listening my paper. Thank you very much. See you again in the future. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.